he is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome back to the Sales Ninja Show podcast, where we cut through the noise, ditch outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. Hi, my name is Jay Lee, founder of Sales Ninja. As a former banker, former introvert, former pastor, high-ticket sales ninja, I now help grow and scale businesses without the need for pushy tactics. And that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method, a kingdom-driven approach from the Bible, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, which is built on trust, service, and true connection. My mission is to help 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty so that you can sell more to give more. Today's guest has been helping people achieve their dreams in real estate for over 3 decades. With more than 1,450 closed contracts and $750 million in sales volume, she leads a small but mighty team that delivers exceptional results while staying true to what matters most: relationships, trust, and compassion. Her success isn't just measured by awards and numbers, but by the countless clients who've had their dreams realized through their guidance. Let's welcome Irene Kashanski. Hey, Irene, welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. How are you today?
Oh, that was such a fabulous intro, Yoda. Thank you for having me here. I loved it.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to watch more of that, but I guess we
There
have
you
to get
go.
to the content, right?
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here today. Well, a lot of people don't know that you and I know each other in more than one way, because most of my guests are people I've never met in person, and you are literally in the neighborhood. So tell us, tell the people, the audience, what you do and who you are.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Jay. Well, yes, and I literally met you at your door,
Yes, you did.
right? Because the no selling sales method is based on relationships, not just transactions. And that's where we met. I met, literally knocking on your door saying, "Hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Do you have any real estate needs?" And it grew from there.
Yeah, what I've noticed about you, and for those who are listening, is Irene does things very differently. And some of the people who are in the real estate market, and you can correct me on the statistics. Somebody said that there are, is it 9,000 real estate agents in Ontario, and there's 9,000 home sales. So someone was telling me that they get an average of 1 sale per year. I can't remember if that was the exact number, but it wasn't a lot. So you are doing a lot better than that.
Yeah, you have the principle, right? The numbers are a little off. So we have just on the Toronto Real Estate Board. I don't know about the whole province. In Toronto, we have over 70,000 licenses between Toronto, Mississauga, and the GTA. And the number of sales, especially this past year when the market has slowed down a little bit, we're sort of hovering at maybe 75,000 by the time we end the year. So yes, on average, the average agent sells 1 home a year, 1 to 2 at the very most.
Okay, so I was off by 10x, which is not 9, but 90,000 was a number they told me, and then
Yeah.
90,000 average
Yeah.
homes. So average agent sells about 1 home per year, which is
Mhm.
crazy. So let's go back to some of the roots, because how we met. And what you're doing differently is not only did you knock on doors, the things that I remember clearly were the door hangers, the calendars that were very useful, the leaf bags,
Mhm, mhm,
also
mhm.
the annual skate that you did every
Yes.
year.
Yep.
where I think your photographer broke her arm one year. I think
Good
she
memory. Yes,
fell.
she did. Yes,
So that was a highlight
unfortunately.
because my kids were growing up, and you always had the hot chocolate and the Timbits or donuts or something like that,
Mhm.
and the skate. So that was incredible. So how do you set yourself apart from the rest? Because I think that's what you talked about, trust and relationships. That's a big thing. So when people think, that's a marketing cost, or does that really work? What is your philosophy?
Oh my goodness. Well, maybe to answer that, I can rewind just a little bit and just give you a little bit of my history. When I got licensed in real estate almost 34 years ago, it was January. It was January 7th,
Oh wow, you
1992.
remember?
I
Nice.
do. I do. And I said to my broker, so what do I have to do to succeed? And she said, go door knocking.
Wow.
And, for anybody that's not in Toronto, Toronto's pretty cold in January, but that's what she told me to do. And that's what I did. So, minus 10, minus 20, whatever weather it was, I was out door knocking. And, fast forward a little bit, I had people that I had met back then that 10, 15 years later, even if I hadn't talked to them, said if somebody was at my door in February, when I was going to do business, I was going to call them. So I did. I got quite a bit of business that way. But I was fortunate in that my broker owner at the time, may she rest in peace, she taught me well. And I got into real estate fresh out of university. I didn't know any better. I didn't know anything. I was in my mid-20s. I had no sphere. I had barely finished university because education at that point was not a forte or not a focus for me. It was just getting the degree and getting out and doing something with my life because I didn't do anything with my degree. So real estate was it. And she taught me well. She taught me to focus on relationships, which, when the market in the 90s was completely flat, which is when I started, uh, there was a lot that you had to do to actually get business. A lot. It's sort of, it feels like we're back there now. We've sort of come full circle. The market in the 90s didn't really start to pick up until sort of late 90s, 97, 98. And then for that 2000 to 2021, 22 period, there was very little downturn. We were going up pretty much every single year, even when we had little tiny setbacks. We certainly didn't feel any pinch in the real estate market up in the Toronto area as much as our friends south of the border, who tend to have more ups and downs. So the last year is feeling like it did back when I started. And it's been a surprise to a lot of realtors that haven't been around as long.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them that have only been licensed in the last 5-7 years, they don't know a down market. They would just have to sort of show up and do a deal pretty much, with little exception. So it's really helped me because I'm just going back to my own basics. I just had to remind myself what I used to do in the past, whereas some realtors don't ever learn it. They don't know that they have to.
That's amazing. And when you said full circle, let's say there's someone that's starting, out from the beginning as a new realtor. Because I had a friend who switched from being a high school teacher for like over 15 years. He transitioned into becoming a real estate agent. And not everyone has the right, broker or the mentorship. How important do you think that, I know you said your broker, rest in peace, helped you, mentor you. How important do you think a mentor is, or a coach, in helping you succeed in what you're doing now?
Well, it's critical. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You don't know what you don't know, and you need somebody to guide you and help you understand what's important to do. And although relationships are critical in any business, doesn't matter whether it's sales or not, the more of those you build authentically, the better you will succeed, regardless of whether you're selling houses or insurance or cars or, maybe not widgets, but certainly the product doesn't matter. The service doesn't matter. You're looking to build the relationships with people to listen to what they want rather than trying to sell them what you have.
what I find interesting is, the necessary marketing strategy to do door-to-door knocking, and many people would think that that's not really my forte, or I'm not really outgoing, or I don't like rejection. You can remember, like 34 years ago when you were doing door knocking, and even with your small but mighty team today. um, is that a ongoing necessary strategy? If so, how do you train your team to do this well, to do door knocking well? Because when I see the like telecom, right, or gas, or energy, or whatever, you, a lot of people tend to like want to like not talk to people or not open
Mhm.
their doors because of security and safety and all the other issues.
Your question is, how do you start and what do you do?
Yeah, how do you train your team to do that well, to do door knocking? Because I can't imagine it being an easy sales strategy.
It's not, and I do just I want to make sure that I highlight that the door knocking for us is only one part. It's one of our pillars. We have quite a few other pillars that we focus on, but as far as strategy, you need to look professional. You need to smile. You need to get right to the point. Don't ask people how they are because you don't care and they know it.
Mm.
Uh, g- the strategy is really just to show up, be authentic, tell people why you're there quickly. If they decide to get into friendly banter with you or ask you questions, then obviously that leads to a longer conversation. But really, you're looking to get your point across quickly, see if you can build a relationship quickly. It is a skill, but I find it's something that's easier to do when you're face to face, belly to belly, rather than trying to do something on the phone. I don't know how any telemarketers right now are surviving trying to get people to actually say yes on the phone when you don't have that ability to build the relationship that you do when you're in front of somebody.
So door knocking KPIs, key performance indicators, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but are there any market statistics based on your 3 decades that say if you do 100 door knocks, you should be able to get like one conversation or one person maybe interested? Any kinds of statistics that can help?
I cannot quote any statistics because I don't know if anybody really keeps statistics.
Right.
I can tell you that we track everything. We track our doors. We track our phone calls. We track everything we do. We track the time. We track the number of attempts, the number of conversations, how many new ads to our database that leads to, how many of those database ads lead to appointments, lead to contracts, and lead to closing. So we track absolutely everything because what gets measured gets improved and gets managed, right? So I can tell you my own stats for our neighborhood, the one where I met you. I would say in an hour I can hit about 20, maybe 25 doors because the properties are big.
Yeah, they are.
We've got 40, 50, 60-foot lots. So it's not a high volume. Out of those, depending on the time of day, I do like to go sort of late afternoon. Don't want to go too close to dinner. Don't want to go too close to the middle of the day. So I will, out of 25 doors, maybe hit 10, 12 people. I can tell you now with our market, it takes a heck of a lot more conversations to find anybody that wants to do anything. So a lot of the time I spend and a lot of the questions that I ask are spent on questions. It's asking people questions about their hopes, dreams, and plans, so that we can add them into our database. The quantity that we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation, you need a lot more quantity to get the quality. So we have to, regardless whether it's doors, phone calls, open houses, any other real estate sales strategy that we have, you just have to talk to a lot more people to get. So first of all, you have to talk to more people to find somebody who's moving. Then when you find somebody who's moving, you have to convince them that you're the one that they should be having a conversation with. And with 70,000 realtors on the Toronto Real Estate Board, it's a challenge. And you asked how I train my team. Quantity first, because that's where the quality is going to come. And we have a very long detailed follow-up process, because very rarely will I get somebody at a door that says, oh yeah, actually I am thinking of moving and I don't have a real estate agent, and sure, I'd like to talk to you. I can count on one hand how many times that's happened, right? It's usually, oh, I'm thinking maybe next year, 2 years down the road, when I retire, when the kids are out of school, when the kids are in school, whatever it is. And it's listening to those signals and then determining if they have somebody they trust that will look after their real estate needs. That's I think you can use that in any industry. So Jay, when the time comes for you to make that move, do you have a real estate agent that you trust to take care of you?
Right.
And the words are very specific because everybody knows a realtor. You know, my cousin, my hairdresser, part-time, whatever it is. So it's the trust, because that's critical, and then we'll take care of you, as opposed to just getting through the transaction.
So many good things in there. I love how you said, what gets measured is what improves, and the quantity, which is really important, gives you the quality. You talked about a detailed follow-up process, and you were even mentioning, and before we got on this podcast, what is the show up? My wife was wondering if I fed the dog. This is real life.
Welcome to work at home. I have a sign on my office door that said podcast recording. Do not disturb.
Do you really? I got to get one of
do.
those. That's great. I love that.
Oh, you know what? I have to share a funny story with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think any parent can relate to this. So this is going to lead into the follow-up conversation. So between Christmas and New Year's is when I do I call it my call marathon.
Yeah.
It is when I literally sit here. This is my desk. This is my office at home. I've had this office way before COVID. So this is my lair. And between the 27th and the 31st of December, sometimes the 2nd of January, depending on when our winter vacation is, I sit here for 6 to 8 hours a day. And I am my own telemarketer. I am my own inside sales agent. It is when I call all of the people who have said, maybe I'll do something at some point. Wow. It's exhausting. It is exhausting, because typically I'm on the phone 2 to 3 hours a day. You up that to 6 to 8. It's you can only do it for a short time. Gives me a true appreciation of telemarketers who do this for a living. So my kids are now 19 and 23, but when they were younger, a closed door didn't mean anything to them. So I created this little sign for my call marathon, and it said, "Do not disturb unless you're bleeding."
Oh my gosh, really?
It slowed them down a little bit, but it slowed them down enough to laugh and think before they burst in.
Oh, maybe they want to see mommy, so they put like a little marker with red and say, I'm Yeah, I have a policy in my office as well, where the kids and my family can interrupt me even if I'm in the middle of something very important, which is hard sometimes, because I'm sometimes training in front of like 100, 200 people on Zoom. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And they're like, we're hungry or something like that. Oh boy. So that brought me to that detailed process. Because you asked me a question of how many people show up on your podcast. And I was like, that's a really good question. Why do you ask? And I wanted to ask you why you asked that question, so that you can tell people how you do your follow-up process and how we collectively are able to help people show up and get interested in what we're doing.
Well, the reason I asked the question was because of the Facebook message, text, email. I don't know if there was another one. Reminders. There was a lot of reminders for me to be here. A lot. And I'm thinking, okay, you know what? It's in my calendar. I'll show up. But not everybody runs that way.
Yeah, you're the top 1%, and the other 99%, they're like, oh, where's the link? Or do we have a call today? And I'm like, you probably got about 12 to 14 emails, text messages, social media DMs from my assistant or my team member. So you should be able to get it. And then even like before, if they don't show up, I'll call them, or I'll like either on the phone or in Facebook Messenger or somewhere, and I'll try to get them, unless they're sick or unless there's something that's an emergency. It's a very high show rate. So you've been able to achieve so much. 1,450 closed properties, sales contracts that has generated over 750 million. That's $750 million. So what kept you motivated? Like you talked about some flat, eras or flat times, decades of market shift and challenges. What helped you keep motivated and push past your quit?
Dogged determination to be a success.
Did you feel like giving up? And what were some of the stories of like, should I keep doing this?
Well, I have a very good one.
Okay.
Three years in, I was at at the time we had these real estate conferences called the Main Event. For anybody that's watching this that's in real estate, they will remember that. The turnover ratio at the time in real estate was about 87% every 3 years.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Right now it's probably higher because
Oh
it's a
my
lot more
gosh.
difficult. And it was right around that like 2.5, 3 year mark. I had a very, like, it was the start of my third year, and I was failing miserably and nothing was coming together. And I was a puddle of tears on the floor of this conference saying, I'm not going to make it. I can't be, I'm not cut out for this. This is not going to be my career. Like I got to get out of this. I got to go get a real job.
Wow.
And at the time, my mentors, coaches, and the people that were supporting me there said, no, you're going to succeed. You're going to stay in this and you're going to be a long-term success. And if I had not listened to them, it's the borrow your belief in me until you have your own belief in you. So I borrowed their belief because I had none in me. And, fast forward 30 years later, I can't imagine doing anything else. I'll sell houses till the day I die. I would like to sell less. Right now, personally, I'm sort of in the 30 to 40, maybe 45 units every single year. And my team does less. I'd like to sort of skew that so that I move the team up to do more so that I could do less units and just be behind the scenes, the visionary, the coach, the mentor, the trainer, the person that can be in the background as opposed to the foreground. That's the other thing with growth in our industry. I can't speak to any others, but real estate agents who have big teams, who have big success and do a lot of big numbers, they always want to be up front. It's always me, 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 me. Everybody's behind me, everybody's under me. And my husband and I, you won't be surprised to hear, we run our business very differently. We definitely want to shift that focus. Sorry. Banging the camera here, so that we put others in front and we can be in the background, just pushing them all forward, so that we can do less. We can sort of think and plan more and do less.
I love that, and I've known you that way, in the way that you serve, in the way that you walk around the community to just build those relationships. How do you plan on doing that? Because I think like when you were illustrating that scenario of doing less and going in the background and letting your team be the forefront, I thought of my kids. You've got kids. I got 3 kids, and I always we just came back from a summer camp in Muskoka where all the teenagers and all the kids were leading out of 140 people. They were leading everything from the maintenance, the kitchen, the musical worship, speaking, everything, like literally everything. So the parents were kind of coming to support. Vivian and I, we went to volunteer for a whole week for a vacation to be on mission to serve the kids from the back, not from the front.
That's great.
Yeah. So how do you plan? Like, that's why I see that kind of strategy happening, like as you think about your children and how you want to kind of elevate them and raise them up. How do you plan, or what are your thoughts on helping your team do that and putting others in front so that you can do less?
Great question. And it's simple, not easy.
Yeah.
Right. The simple answer, just get great people and teach them. Right. But it's not easy. It's finding great people on the sales end. You have to have that work ethic, the dogged determination, the hungry, humble, and smart people. On the operations end, we have a wonderful operations team. We are just at the tail end of hiring for a 3rd full-time admin person.
Nice. Wow.
It's been a brutal process over the last 4 to 6 weeks. finding somebody that's the right fit. So it happens on both ends, operations and sales. But on the sales end, finding those characteristics in somebody and giving them my belief in them until they have their own, if they don't have it already. And then just continuous teaching and mentoring and course correcting and keeping their motivation going. That's hard. You know, when nothing's happening, it doesn't matter, you know, what end of the sales or what your product is in the sales industry. When things aren't happening, it's hard to keep going. You just have to, you have to just like make sure that you keep that end in mind in your forefront, so that when it seems to be getting further away instead of closer, you still know it's there.
I have a question based on that, and I love your answers with, you know, hungry, humble, smart, simple, not easy, finding great people and teaching them. So you lead a small but mighty team that focuses on providing a seamless, stress-free experience with an exceptional high standard of service. How do you balance, you know, that stress-free, you know, you want to empower them versus there is a performance, you know, metric that is a necessary part of their role, and they're not performing, or you're correcting them, you're mentoring them, but they're just not getting it. And there has to be a point where, hey, this is stress-free, we're a team, you know, we love you, we want you to succeed, but you're just not meeting the cut. How do you at what point do you say, you know, it's not working out? Does that make sense?
Totally. And I can't give you a straight answer because that's always it's always a struggle. And there's the business part of me that knows what I need and who I need to run the business. There's the human part of me that sees you trying, not succeeding no matter what I do.
Yeah.
So when I figure out a formula to let you know where I draw that line, I'll share it with you, Jay. But in the meantime, it's a daily struggle to try and figure that out internally.
It's a beautiful answer, because we don't always have all the answers, but you continually make decisions based on what you believe is best for yourself, for your family, for your team, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will say that for a very long time, we ran our team focused on the relationships over results. And over the last few years, although we are still focused on the relationships, we have had to put more emphasis on the results, because if we don't, I can't ever do that, you know, put myself in the background piece. So we still want to help people, we want to grow people, but the results have to be a focus. And if the results aren't there, we need to figure out ways to, you know, help this person move on to something that's going to be better for them.
Yeah, well said. Listening is known as a superpower. You emphasize listening deeply to clients' needs. What techniques or, you know, advice or strategies do you use to help ensure your clients always feel heard and understood?
Lots of questions. Going 3 deep when somebody gives you an answer, not just taking it at face value. Tell me more about that, and why is that important to you, and what's going to happen if that doesn't happen. We are big fans of Phil M. Jones and the Exactly What to Say, his books, his coaching. He's a big coach with Keller Williams as well. He teaches across all industries. He's got 800 industries that he focuses on.
What is the book called?
Exactly What to Say.
Exactly What to Say. And what was the person's name again?
Phil M. Jones.
Phil M. Jones?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to take a note of that.
Yeah, I'll share it with you. I don't have a copy of the book here. Probably have given all of my copies away. He's also written Exactly What to Say for Realtors, which has been fantastic. He has a way of asking questions that I have never come across. I think most people haven't. So we do subscribe to his training, coaching, and mentoring consistently. But it's asking the right questions. The quality of your answers depends on the quality of your questions, right?
Very true. I do teach on
Yeah.
that as well.
Mhm.
I say ask open-ended piercing questions in the reverse glass selling method, which is the A in the glass, and what, when, where, how, why, and continue to probe deeper and deeper and deeper to ask better questions so you can get better answers.
Mhm.
So you're known for your ability to anticipate issues others might miss. You help your clients save time, energy, money while guiding them through the real estate process. And when we talk about high standards of service, how do you consistently hold your team to an exceptionally high standard of service that truly wows clients, that says, this is the X factor. This is why Irene and team are different and why we would choose them. What are some things that you and your team do that are like set you apart from the rest?
Oh my goodness. Well, do we have another hour?
Yeah, we can do a part two for sure.
Part
Yeah.
two, the listing process. So to answer the first part of your question, is like actually having standards rather than just suggestions.
Good.
So the team, especially on the operations end, is trained well. They have the right mindset. They have a very customer service focused mentality because they know that our clients and customers drive the rest of our business. But as far as differentiations, we with our sellers are very, very we have a very in-depth process of preparing their homes for market, whether it's, it could start with decluttering, going through painting, preparation, staging. There's so much that goes into it. And then of course, that's when the real estate work starts, right? The marketing and the digital, the social, the print, everything else. But we've had so much amazing feedback from our sellers that are grateful for not just having a plan in place, but project managing it for them. One of our clients, I think it was the best compliment. He said, "It was so amazing how you just put us on this conveyor belt and just moved us along. And we didn't have to worry about what was coming up. We didn't have to worry about what happened. You just moved us along. Your team was there every step of the way." A lot of the prep is the project managing, dealing with trades, figuring out what has to happen in which order. And there's a massive benefit to that in the listing process. And until people go through it, they don't really know how important it is. So I would say for our sellers, that is a huge differentiation. Huge.
Amazing. So let's talk about the future of real estate. We talked about AI a little bit, and obviously the humans, not being replaced, but and also making sure that there's that authenticity. What kind of shifts do you see in the real estate with the future of AI automations?
AI automation and the human element was massive in the real estate conference that I was at last week. It was in San Antonio. It's the second biggest annual conferences for Keller Williams. It's Mega Agent Camp, focuses on the realtors that do have substantial businesses and want to grow from there. You and I chatted with this before we started. The speed with which AI is moving is, I think it's whiplash inducing. And whether it's real estate or anything else, I think that any business that doesn't embrace real estate will be left behind. In fact, one of the speakers, this was fascinating. He said within 1 year, AI will be a necessary component of every single business. And he said within 2 years, it's going to stop being a differentiator. So just gives you an idea of the speed with which everything is happening and the importance of moving along with it and making sure that you have the automation and the artificial intelligence pieces that will help your business. At the same time, how do you make it personal? How do you keep the humanity in it? And what are you going to do to keep up with the pace of the speed of change, the speed of the pace of change? I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
At the same time as keeping everything personal. So I think that balance is going to be critical. I'm excited to see what happens. Any realtor that doesn't keep up with the automation is going to be left behind. And I think any realtor that doesn't keep the personal piece will be ignored.
Well said. When you're getting to the last sales stage where maybe there's a, I don't know if there's a bidding war, and you and your team are competing to try to help win that bidding war. What are some sales tips? I mean, this is a Sales Ninja show to help win that without losing your morals or your standards or your ethical practices.
That's a great question. I think you're sort of focused on the buying side of the transaction, right? So when we're working with the buyers and we're in a competitive situation,
right?
Again, it's going back to the buyer's motivation, figuring out what's going to be important. Is this really the right house for them? And if it is, what is going to make them feel grateful that they did what they did without feeling like they were taken advantage of, or they paid too much, or. So there's so much conversation that goes into the motivation, the desires. There's always budget.
Yeah.
But the other thing is with the shift in market now, it gives us the ability with our buyers to actually have a little bit more time to think and decide. When the market was at its peak in 21 to 22, you didn't have time to think. And it wasn't a negotiation. It was, well, how much over this asking price are you prepared to pay? Okay, let's think of X percent over that in order for you to get the house. Whereas now we have the ability for buyers to think a little bit longer, to not have to make a decision on the spot, to have a little bit more time to go through that traditional sales cycle instead of making a hasty decision. I think I don't even know if I answered your question. Did I answer your question?
You did. There's a lot of facets to the selling and the buying journey, right? And how do you stand out from the rest? And how do you win that bid if there's and you said you just need to help understand where their budget is, what they're willing to go over, so that they're comfortable, because there's a breaking point for people when they say, I can't do beyond this amount. I really, really want this home, but if it goes to this dollar amount, and that's being in that situation many times, it can be very stressful because you really want it sometimes, but then another bidder comes in much higher, and there's all these conditions. And even the home that we purchased, we actually lost it, but because it fell through because of the financing conditions, and there was, I think, a divorce that was happening, and just all sorts of chaos, as you can imagine. And it came back on the market, and we were willing to pay extra for it, which we did, and we were able to win it. But with that came a lot of challenges, because there was mold, there was asbestos, there was leaks, there was plumbing issues, there was
the realities of buying an old home, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
These are 50, 60-year-old homes, and then trying to fix it, even because we have a backyard extension, and it's like a 2-season. Like I use it as my office before we rebuilt it last year. And then in order to get it a 4-season, 4-season extension, people were estimating, $150,000 just to make it 4-season and to rebuild it. So that was like, wow, that's a lot of money. And it's not even like a 2-story. Anyway, so let's do a part 2. I want to do a lightning round, because there's so much under the hood for what you have to offer and how even your listing process. Go ahead.
May I?
Yes.
Before you leave that buyer piece, I do want to say 2 quick things, lightning round.
Yes.
So it's very important for me, if I'm representing a buyer, and for me to train my buyer agents when they're in that situation, to also make sure there's a relationship with the listing agent. Because if you just go in and talk numbers, that may not get the results that you want. So it's really keeping that relationship going. And at the beginning of the process, we have a very, very in-depth buyer consultation that typically takes at least an hour before we even start showing homes, so that we really figure out people's motivation. Bedrooms, bathrooms, that's the last thing. We want to figure out, what is it that they want this house for? What is it going to look like for them to live there? So we get into into all of that behind the scenes before we ever start any showings. So it's getting that understanding as well.
Right. I've seen you and your husband not only in the neighborhood. I remember when I was doing some mentoring for another person at the Big Guys Little Coffee. I would see your husband there every week.
He is the mayor. He's the mayor of Big Guys. Yep.
Does he go there every day, every morning? No,
pretty much for the last 22 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, because Jessie, she started coming to our church, Capstone Community Bible Church. So we see her and her husband very often. So that's awesome to see your husband there. And I love that you guys are both in the neighborhood and just building relationships and, getting in the community and, not just trying to, get a transaction or a sale, but building those relationships and building that trust. And that's what really sets you apart. And that's why I think, people have trusted you and you and your husband have been so successful. So thank you for being in the community. Thank you for just all that you guys do. I wanted to get to know you a little bit better and then ask you for a part 2 later on, if you had time later on, or another part 2 on the podcast. So this is a lightning round, getting to know Irene.
Okay.
What's your morning routine before diving into the busy world of real estate?
I wake up between 4:30 and 4:45. I
What?
read.
Are you for real?
I am for real. It's miracle morning X squared. I read. I typically read nonfiction in the morning. Then I sit and I do some work at my computer, typically between 5:15 and 6:15, 6:30. I work out every single morning. And then I get ready. Then I'm on a mastermind with 1,000 realtors from all across North America between 7:45 and about 8:20. And then I start my meetings with my team at 8:30.
Wow. So what time do you need to sleep to get up at 4:30?
I try by 9.
So how does that 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 7 hours, 7.5.
I'm in my late 50s, so sleep is, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a discipline because, going to sleep when, when your kids were younger, to get to sleep at 8 or 9, that's like going to sleep when kids go to sleep, right? But to be able to get it up that early, that's a feat.
Yeah. I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I can guarantee you that. Yeah.
You love to travel and you love to get your team in front.
I do. Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson that you can give as a piece of advice to a new realtor?
Get a mentor for focus on relationships. I'm going to qualify that. Get a mentor who you trust, whose values you share, and who has the same focus that you do. And that's critical.
Good. Very well said. Do you have a personal mantra, guiding principle, or quote that keeps you grounded in business and life?
Whatever the mind of man can, oh my goodness, can achieve. It was the Norman Vincent Peale. Whatever the mind of man can conceive, it can achieve.
Whatever the mind
of man can conceive, it can achieve. I'm sorry, I don't remember who said that, but I'm always thinking that if you think that it can happen, you can make it happen.
Is there one story in particular that you remember that, man, that was such an impossible goal or task or milestone or breakthrough or fitness, goal that I didn't even think I can do, but you put your mind to it? Because I see you're on your Peloton, you're on your treadmill, you're on, your basement was flooded. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening. What did you put to your mind that you can conceive that you're able to achieve? That was like, whoa, boom, that was a breakthrough.
I don't know if there's one particular thing. That's a really good question. Maybe you should have asked me that before so I could think about it. But I would say that every time I get through something that seems maybe not impossible. Nothing's impossible except flying, right? Or me becoming an astronaut. That's impossible. Anytime I get through something that's super, super hard, and I get through it, like, you sort of build that muscle. We can do hard things. We can do hard things. We can do hard things. Oh, I can tell you, cold plunge for 5 minutes. That was hard.
And where do you do that? At home? Or?
No, I do that at one of the yoga studios that I go to. Yep. So it's you're lying there going, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I can do hard things.
I'm going to freeze to death. How was it? Like, was that first 3 seconds you're like, I just want to jump out? What am I doing?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I mean, I've been working my way. My first time was 2 minutes and I was adding 30 seconds each time. I don't know
good
that
for you.
I don't think I'm going to go past 5 minutes. I think that's enough.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah. One of my team members has done 14. I don't think I want to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Last question. What's something about you outside of real estate that would surprise your clients, maybe, that they don't know about, maybe?
That I used to DJ.
What?
Yeah, every time I mention that to anybody that thought they knew me, they're very surprised. So my husband and I both used to DJ in clubs. He did more clubs than I did. I had a radio show on CIUT for 7 years.
What?
And in fact, earlier this summer, I went back to the studio. They're doing a podcast called Radio Recall. So they're bringing back all of the old DJs from not just from the 80s, but from the 70s, like before we went FM. So it was really cool. Like 35 years later, walking on campus and walking into the studio.
Did you already go? And how was that going back to memory lane?
It was surreal. Like 35 years, like 35 years ago, I ... I don't think whatever it is that you say, it's like, oh yeah, I was there 35 years ago. Yeah, that was cool. That was
Amazing.
cool. I loved that. It was 7 years, 3 different types of radio shows. And yeah, that's a little known fact.
Amazing. Last question is like, when people are kind of facing adversity or challenges or feeling like, they don't have any gas left in the engine, what kind of advice for people who are listening, saying that, I'm on my last thread, I'm just ready to give up, what kind of advice would you give them?
That's when success comes. So stick with it. It's when it's darkest before dawn, right? So it's that last little bit that you think you can't possibly go any further. Once you get through that, that's where the success comes, whether it's personal or professional.
Amazing. And that's why you are amazing. That's why you continue to win awards with your team. That's why you continue to measure success, because what gets measured is what is successful. Congrats on closing over 1,450 purchases on sale contracts and $750 million in sales volume. And more importantly is your humor, your patience, and your character to help build your team and put them up front, and kind of like walk to the sunset and let your team be in the forefront. And the way that you shine in the community, the way that you smile, the way that you serve, you and your husband, I think is inspirational. So thank you so much for your time today.
Namaste.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get your husband and we'll join a 3-way podcast interview to get his insights as well.
That would be great. We really, really appreciate that. Thank you for the opportunity, Jay. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Okay, take care for now. Thanks, Irene. Thank you for your